Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first quarterfinals day here on Challengers Uprising. My name is Marco Rafa Alexander Arambide, your desk host, and provided alongside me are my wonderful two analysts, Max, who you just saw, aka Sam Hyde, on that newly cast game there with Kangas and Coco, and of course Matthew Cubby Samuelson. Boys, we've got a fun day, not just day, but week ahead of us as we are diving into this playoffs bracket here.
We definitely do. Whew.
So excited. And just special shout out to Rafa, who actually wrote, performed, recorded, put together that music video for us. Awesome piece of content, Rafa. Thanks so much for doing that. Hope you guys enjoyed it. But with that past us, let's dive into the matchup.
We got a really, really spicy matchup today, fellas. FrostFire, Long Beach Nation. Oh, today could not be any more exciting with this matchup. These guys are the underdogs. Oh, I can't believe that one of them is going to semis too. That's so hype.
Right. Well, before we get too further deep into that matchup, because I know how excited you are to talk about it, we have to remind everyone at home who missed out on watching last week's games, because it was the last week of the regular season. If we can take a quick look of the overall bracket for the playoffs, we have 4 quarterfinal matches that we're going to be watching over the course of today and tomorrow. On the upper bracket, Mirage will be taking on 100 Thieves. We also have Polar Ace taking on Simplicity Esports. And then in the lower bracket, we will be seeing a new versus Supernova Dark Matter. That will be tomorrow. And then, of course, our first series of the day is FrostFire taking on Long Beach Nation.
Yes. Yeah, and just for clarification too, there is no lower bracket. It's just the lower half of the bracket. This is all single elimination. Right. And so we are excited. I feel like we have some really good teams that are in the playoffs here. Like FrostFire, they got kicked out early in quite a few leagues, but they played really well in Cup and this best of 2 format. And they find themselves at the number 2 seed. They're the only team in group stage who took a game off of 100 Thieves next. And I'm excited to see this matchup because I feel like a lot of people don't give these two teams the respect that they have, because LBGN, they came on late. FrostFire got knocked out early in a lot of leagues, and they're actually 2 pretty decent teams that could be dark horses as we move forward here.
Yeah, they absolutely are. They are actually a lot higher in the seeding as well than what we expected. Up until week 4, Long Beach was in first seed in their group as well. They just took an unfortunate loss in that final match. FrostFire, like you mentioned, they are in that 2nd seed in Group B, the only team to take even a single game off of 100 next in the regular season. Both of these teams have a lot going for them coming into this series. Only one of them is going to take away a victory here. And yeah, there is a single elimination. But I'm actually just really, really excited because, like you mentioned, looking at the other results of these teams in other leagues, it is rather surprising that one of them is going to be top 4 in Cup. That's a really big deal.
Absolutely. And just to reiterate, today's best of 3 quarterfinal matchups are, first we're starting off with FrostFire and Long Beach Nation, and then after that series ends, we will be diving in to 100 Thieves and Mirage. Now, with that in mind, we have another segment that we've been doing ever since the beginning of, technically week 2. It is our wonderful fantasy draft here for the analyst desk, and to kind of keep a refresher on people's minds, who is currently winning fantasy. It is yours truly, but it's only by a very, very small margin. I believe Cubby is barely under a point at the moment right now against me. So Cubby's looking to come back in the point totals here. If I believe right now it's 375.12 for myself, 374.96 for Cubby, and then 355.96 points for Smacks. Now, before we reveal who we drafted, since we did it off air, I believe last night, for this week, we do want to remind that normally, because we were drafting players to be calculating their points over 2 games for the regular season, since it was a best of 2, moving into best of 3, we are going to basically take the best 2 games from the series, because there's going to be always a possibility where a player is able to play in all 3 games, and it's not fair to those who drafted players that draft players that end up getting stomped 0-2, or stomping the other team 2-0. So just to keep that in mind. But without further ado, because Smacks was and still is in last place at the moment, Smacks had the first pick of the draft, and with our team spanning of players to choose from, 100 Thieves, Mirage, Long Beach Nation, and FrostFire, Smacks, what was your first pick?
Well, it was not too difficult to pick for sure. I wanted to come in with a bang. You know, I am 20 points behind. I am gonna go with Ken V, because how could you not? How could you not take Ken V? We have clip after clip after clip of him in just Challengers Uprising alone, and there are so many other leagues as well where he's absolutely smurfing. You know, take yesterday with a grain of salt. That matchup does just put them in the losers bracket. They are still looking very, very solid. Up until that point, they were undefeated in the regular seasons and playoffs. And 100 Next is looking like the all-stars as well moving forward today. And you got to take Ken V. He's the all-star of the all-star team.
Well, right. Cubby, you were the second pick.
Well, you know, I consulted the real star of the music video, that was Baloo. And Baloo told me to pick the person that also picks bears, Volibear, in the game. And now that Tenacity has a game on Volibear, I felt comfortable taking him. So Tenacity going to be my selection. This guy, along with Kenvi, the two best mechanical prodigies that we have in SGC. These guys are insane. I'm so excited to see him play and have him on my team. And also, I'd like to remind you guys that last time when Smacks had first pick, he actually took Tenacity. I took Kenvi. I very much got the best of that. I think I'm going to flip it this time. I think Tenacity is going to pop off today in this matchup, as he's going up against Tony Top, who has been playing a little bit better of late, but I have a huge edge for Tenacity in that one.
Well, then it was my pick, and because we do snake draft, not only am I going to be able to get my first, but also second pick. But my first pick, you know, knowing that 100 Thieves, they have such an amazing track record, at least for Cup, I went with Copy, the other solo laner for 100 Thieves. Ooh. And this guy is such a huge team player, a huge role player as well. He's involved in a ton of fights. That always happens. And he's usually assisting Tenacity or Kenvi in their early game aggression shenanigans. And Copy is just such a star in his own right. He's able to perform so well. But on the flip side, of course, after locking in Copy, I was looking across all three teams, and I have a lot of faith in someone I've known for the past 2 years in the amateur scene, and it's got to be Kitsuo, the jungler for FrostFire. This guy not only does a majority of the drafting for the team, but he also picks some of the weirdest, but it's so cool. I believe he was the first one on the Kha'Zix train before any of the other amateur junglers. And now that, if anyone's been paying attention to 10.14, the massive buff that Kha'Zix got this patch alone, I wouldn't be surprised if Kitsuo will be the first one to pull it out in today's match.
Okay. Well, I don't believe that any 80 carries have been picked up yet. And this might surprise a few people, but I think I'm going to take the best 80 carry playing today on the board. And that's going to be Meech for LBGN. This guy is the big carry of this team, and I actually, a little bit of a spoiler alert, I have LBGN winning this series today, and I really think it's going to be off the back of Meech if they are able to pull it off. This guy is insane at Tristana. He can play Ezreal, he can play Aphelios, he does it all for his team. And I really feel like if LBGN has a chance to win today, it has to be through their bottom lane, because breaking Quas in the top lane is such a challenge for so many teams. So I'm going to put my faith in Meech, take him on my team, and hopefully he racks in the points, as I have a feeling that this first series is going to be extra bloody.
That is definitely an interesting claim, saying that Meech is the best remaining 80 carry of the four. I'm going to go with the guy that I think is the best remaining 80 carry, and that is Yawn on 100 Next. This guy, he doesn't usually get a lot of the resources on the team, but he still pops off on this champion. On the supportive picks like Ashe, who we're seeing a whole lot more of, he's still in there. He's getting triple kills in this clip. He's getting quadra kills in games that they're losing, like last night. This guy's an absolute smurf, even on the supportive champions. And I just hope that he's not playing Senna, so I get some of those juicy CS points as well for him. So I know I've requested a lot of things of Fallen Bandit in the past, so I don't think he listens to me at this point. But I'm going for one last shot. Please don't put him on Senna today. So I need those points. I'm in last place this time, man. Come on. I digress. Let's get on to my third pick, as it is Snake Draft. We're going to go for the guy in the top lane here, Quas on FrostFire.
Mhm.
I've been very impressed with his stuff when we do get the chance to watch him on streams. Of course, it is not all that often, but I have been rather impressed. He has been playing a lot of these very interesting champions like this Vladimir in the clip. He's one of the few players that is still playing that champion in the top lane. And while it is that scaling champion, if you do get to the late game and you just absolutely shred through the entire enemy team, and he's going to be picking me up a lot of those kill points, which I am definitely counting for. I think these games are going to be very bloody, like Cubby said in this first series, and I hope that Quas is on those carry champions like he does pull out sometimes, so he can pick me up some of those points.
Well, this is going to be awkward because I actually pulled the same exact clip for High Key Savage, who was my next pick, taking the Jace mid in that matchup. This guy comes from Collegiate, would have been on a very strong Harrisburg lineup this year, which, you know, if you're familiar with Collegiate at all, Maryville, they are the kings of Collegiate, but Harrisburg was actually set up to possibly take them down. It's really off the back of High Key Savage's extremely aggressive play. This guy does not back down from any challenges. He will take Zed, he will take LeBlanc, he will take picks like Jace mid. He just wants to go in and mess you up 1v1. And I'm going to take him because I do think that, you know, Freeze is a more supportive player for LBGN, you know, really helping Meech carry. I think that High Key Savage, if FrostFire wants to win, it's going to have to be through his play because he is a volatile player. So if they get the best of him today, that's really what FrostFire is going to need to take this series.
I'm really glad that you guys went with those players because there is one person on my mind from FrostFire that you all overlooked, and that's Lobos. Lobos, after seeing him demolish Kangas in his 1v1 interview, I knew that he was definitely a mechanical prodigy. And I know that it seems like I'm joking. I'm not. Kangas is actually a really good mechanical league player. He doesn't get to play as much, but you know his Bard is no joke. But the fact that Lobos was able to take him down in that 1v1, and I think another huge benefit that Lobos is going to bring when it comes to earning points is that Lobos is willing to pull out a lot of weird stuff alongside Kitsuo, and that's why the FrostFire drafts are so exciting. I think Lobos is one of the few people that has pulled out a Nico bot lane this season. I think Lobos also pulled out Jinx with the support running Sona as well, which was incredible to watch. He absolutely popped off. So, and if you guys have been paying attention to other trends in the bot lane, I wouldn't be surprised if Lobos will also jump on the Andy Bendy train, which is pulling out a Karthus bottom lane as well.
Ooh.
That was a wild ride last night.
I expect to see it today.
Yeah, Karthus bottom lane.
It's a strong pick.
That was awesome.
Don't disrespect it, kids. It is a powerful triple flex right now. I don't know if people are going to pick it in the top lane, but, you know, there might be some crazy
Anyone's
people.
Anyone's going to do it. It's Quas.
You know, Quas would be the person to do it. Well, that does conclude the fantasy draft for everyone, and you can take one last look at all of the picks that we have assembled this week. We will be tracking them throughout both of our series today and tallying it up and see who comes on top. And afterwards, we're going to have to do a quick fantasy draft off air, unfortunately, as we get ready for tomorrow's series fantasy draft, because we're going to have to do it all over again for the Polar Ace Simplicity series, as well as the new and Supernova Dark Matter series. But, you know, we're going to go down the line, Smacks and Cubby, starting with Smacks first. You know, I want to get final thoughts on how you did this draft.
Well, I definitely think that I have a little bit of an edge here. I have 200 next players, and you guys only have one.
Easy dubs.
Little bit of a benefit. I was going first because I am in last place, but I think that the 100 next players are gonna give me 100 next points each in every game, maybe. But that'd
easy
be a lot
dubs,
of points actually.
Just like the predictions that we're about to have.
True.
Nothing more from you, Cubby. Just easy dubs. That's all.
Easy dubs. That's it.
All right, well, good enough for me. As we move away from fantasy drafts, we'll be tracking those points throughout the day. We have to now finally get into FrostFire and Long Beach Nation. Now, these two teams, and I know you've brought it up before, Cubby, that These are some of the two teams in the amateur scene as a whole that do not play standard. They do not adhere to what everyone else is running in terms of the meta. They're kind of touted as the dark horses of this entire circuit because they've been able to take down some of the top dogs in a new Maryville University and 100 Thieves next, especially by basically pulling out a really creative and innovative drafts and no one else is willing to play.
Yes, and starting with FrostFire, leave it to a team that has Quas on it to really have these flavor picks coming on out. This guy was known when he was in the LCS for playing champions like Swain, breaking out champions like Alawi. Guess what? If you haven't seen him play lately, he still plays all those things, and he's still very good at it. He's one of the stronger top lanes that we have here in SGC. But this isn't just for Quas, it's for the rest of his team as well. Kitsuo, a notable Kazakhs one-trick who did see buffs this patch. Dean is a notable Sona one-trick, and it will likely get it banned away from him, but if not, they will run a lane like Sona Jinx, and they play it very well. And that's not even the crazy stuff. If we go over to LBGN, I don't even want to get into the mixed champion pool because it just involves like anything that rolls. Like whether it's Rammus or Nunu, he takes it all. Like he really doesn't care. This guy, he's insane. Like the entire team is insane. Don't expect anything that you'd usually expect going into a league series because if you do, you're going to get your mind blown. And we're just going to have to see like what these teams end up bringing out to the table because they like to play creative. And I'm really interested to see what ends up happening because I think that they're just going to blow our minds. Whether it's good or bad, we'll have to see.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of champions that have just been getting like here and there buffs recently as well. And if any team is going to notice that, it is going to be Long Beach. Like Cubby said, they're pulling out the Rammus, the Nunu jungle before it was cool. They've got the brand support too, which is crazy. That just tells you that they know how to play Mage's bot, which is actually really rare in teams like this. Usually you don't have the team play capacity to do that because the support is usually required to be the voice of reason, the voice that's getting you into the fights, the things like the Braum, the Alistar, that stuff. And if you're playing a mage, you can't do that stuff. So I'm actually really impressed with that. I know that playing a mage support is very, very tough, and I'm curious to see if they have some more in the tank there. So that's definitely what I'm looking at. I'm really, really excited to see what wacky stuff they can pull out. And like Cubby said, I'm definitely looking at that Karthus pick for sure in this series because it is wildly buffed on this patch. I don't know if you guys read the changes, but it has a lot more damage, a lot more utility, and they gave him back his 10 movement speed for some reason as well.
It's a big deal. Yeah.
It's a really good
champion. It's a really big deal.
Yeah, movement speed is nuts. It helps in universally every single aspect of playing League of Legends. So, to sum it all up here, if we see standard drafts, that's where something has gone wrong.
That's not what we signed up for.
Yeah. Like the normal should be, the crazy should be the normal here, and the crazy should be the normal for FrostFire and Long Beach Nation, respectively. Without further ado, it is time that we get into our predictions, gentlemen. And I'm going to be very adamant and upfront that I believe the FrostFire are going to take this 2-0 against Long Beach Nation, respectively.
The host goes first? Just throwing it out there? Oh my gosh. I thought you were like, you'd be like friendly, like let's the analyst talks. Ralph is just really confident. It's like 2-0. Easy.
Yep. I don't need to see what you guys think.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to tell you anyway, I think. I'm going to tell you that I think you're on the right track, Rafa, but I do think that this game has such a giant capacity to go to Fiesta that it has to go three games. So I'm going to go for 2-1 on the side of FrostFire. I think we're going to see some wacky shenanigans on both sides for sure, 100%. But I do agree with you. I think that FrostFire is a little bit more consistent at the end of the day. And they've already shown that they are here to play on Wednesdays. Wednesday is their day for Cup, and we'll see if it can translate to playoffs as well. I'm going to stick with FrostFire for sure.
Okay. I'm going to play devil's advocate. And I know that a lot of teams think that LBGN are the bad boys of SGC. They are. They are 100% the bad boys of SGC. All right? These guys, they talk smack. They aren't here to be your friends. They're here to win. And I have them winning this series, actually, 2-1. I think Meech is a very, very strong player, and the rest of the team can play around him, they can win. Dean and Lobos, they're a very good bot lane that come from a collegiate background. I don't think it's going to be enough to shut down Meech and Ugandan Royalty. These guys are very talented players, and I really think that LBGN, like, we'll see how wacky the drafts get, but it's going to be a chaotic series. It's the one series that I fully expect to go to 3 games out of all the best of 3s we have in this quarterfinals.
For sure.
I think LBGN can send them there and take it in the end. These guys, I cannot emphasize how good I think Meech is, and it's really a bummer that no one really gets to see this team because they don't really have a strong org. Their branding is questionable, but they get to show off their performance here. So we're gonna have to see what they can pull out.
Well, Covey, just so that you know, you are the only one just
you're
between
in the FrostFire
the
sandwich.
analyst desk and as well as the casters who have joined in on the prediction squad. We all believe, or we're all on the FrostFire train. So you are the odd man standing, and so I'm just gonna let you know right now, it's gonna be that more embarrassing once you lose this prediction. But we'll have to leave it to the 2 teams between FrostFire and Long Beach Nation to battle it out and prove one side of this feud wrong. But ladies and gentlemen, we are getting ready for the draft between game 1 of FrostFire and Long Beach Nation. Kangas and Coco are going to take you through the ride. We'll see you in a few.
Hello and welcome back, everybody, for the game. Thank you, everybody on the desk, for some great predictions, some great banter. We'll see if Cubby's able to bring that one out. Spicy prediction, to say the least. I have FrostFire taking that one 2-0. A lot of that is biased from Lobos. We just interviewed him on 1v1 me. Thank you, Rafa, for reminding everybody that I did lose, but I got to say, Lobos, your bard is trash, okay? You got to work on that.
Whoa. Hey, calm down now. He pretty much beat you, except for I think the Bard. Like, you did beat him by I think it was 40 HP in that trade.
It counts. It counts. I also beat him in more mini games. I beat him in the Annie, Protect the Annie, and then what are the other ones? I forget, but that's besides the point. We got LBGN versus FrostFire tonight. Coco, real quick, what was your reason for focusing more on the FrostFire side of this victory here?
It was something that the analyst desk actually touched on, which is consistency. FrostFire has shown that they are a more consistent team, that they are a squad that can really provide carry potential from multiple roles instead of just one. We were talking about, I believe Cubby brought up that the big win condition for LBG is in their bottom lane with Meech and Ugandan Royalty. So for them, if you have that one spot, it's really easy to choke out just a single win condition. And especially with this meta where a lot of the ban phase is focused on that bottom side, taking out the Aphelioses, the Varuses, so on and so forth, to provide a better composition strategy, not to mention the whole fact that you can just sort of hard force a bottom lane into the enemy's draft to sort of formulate a counter plan if you're really at that top notch. But it does also come down to a question of how consistent are the players in that mindset, because both of them don't really have a support structure.
Yeah, FrostFire has no coach at all, so we'll see if they're actually able to take advantage of that pick ban phase. But now that we got the lies out of the way, Coco, I think it's okay for us to both admit how biased we are to LBGN. This team's got 2 Canadians and 2 Minnesotans on it. So let's talk about them a little bit. They're labeled the bad boys. They talk smack, they talk trash, but they show up on the Rift with some crazy picks. So when we're thinking about this pick ban, all rules go out the window when it comes to these 2 teams. Probably 2 of the most diverse in terms of champion pools and what strategies they're willing to employ. So with that in mind, what should we be looking out for? What should we assume should show up? I mean, on the desk, we already mentioned Karthus, the changes to that with the move speed, probably more in the jungle, but is there anything else on this current patch that you think is just too good for these teams to give up?
Well, we might be looking for set jungle as well, just to keep an eye out on that, because both Mink and Kitsuo might be able to sort of throw that down. And it's also a great flex pick as well for the top laners of Philip and Quas, because it's been very popular in Academy and LCS just through its success rate, but it is also something that will help sort of bait into different jungle matchups and provide for that really highlighted situation that you wanted to look at between the 2 junglers and their interactions. Another one also would probably be Zoe. I think both Heike Savage and Freeze could probably play that really well and possibly get some cat evolved vibes and actually like win some team fights that they really don't deserve to win just based off of the poke compositions that are so strong right now in this meta.
Yeah, Varus at least falling down a little bit in there. I'm surprised you mentioned Set with Quas in the top lane, because when we just look at his past couple games he's played, I've seen like 90% Gangplank. This team loves to put Quas on that champion, getting that global pressure, getting aggressive in lane, and the ability to just survive a lot of ganks. But also they were mentioning on the desk things like Gnar, things like Vladimir. Quas does come out and play. And when I look at Not the Real Philip, I don't see a player that has as crazy of a champ pool. That's one of the only players I can look at on LBGN and actually think, okay, this is more of a standard stock top laner, which even then it's not exactly a true statement. But I just want to highlight two of the Minnesotans on the team. We got Mink in the jungle with Uganda Royalty in the support position. Now, I'm going to say something about Mink. There's something about Minnesota meta that just does weird things to junglers. I mean, look at Wiggly, look at Moon in the LCS, and this is the meta that Hunter developed in. I've seen Brand jungle, I've seen Orange jungle, just nutty things in Minnesota. So when they mention things like the Rammus, things like the Nunu, that's just normal. That's where I grew up from. So I'm excited to see what he's able to bring to the table and how we can convince teams that having a diverse champion pool and these random pocket picks is actually good for the league. We see it overseas. We see it in our last world champions. It would play these crazy picks that no one else was playing. And I think that is definitely what can bring LBGN this win. If anything is going to win them this best of 3, it will be these off meta picks, these oddball champions that can kind of put a wrench in the plan of FrostFire, because Kitsuo's been doing their drafts so far, and he's been doing a decent job, but without a dedicated coach, that is a weakness that LBGN can look at when we're hopping into draft. Speaking of, we do have the draft in front of us right here. It looks like this is the completed draft. FrostFire, we're seeing the Karthus. Okay, it's locked in.
Okay, and that's in the exact order too of how they drafted him through. So we got the Karthus, as the analyst desk had called out. We also have the Jace and Gnar situation for the solo lanes. The problem is like you've got a lot of hard heavy AD in the laning phase, which is great, but then you have to really double down on that Karthus in the jungle and being that late game security, right? Like you're looking over across the street and looking at LB and saying, all right, cool, they've got some strong laning pressure and roaming potential in the early stages with first place on that Bard. Aphelios might have a little bit of a hassle getting to that second to third item power spike when you're up against a more oppressive neutral objective zoning team. But even then, it's one of those things where we did get those wild pickups, and at the end of it all, I think it is because of the fact that, yeah, the support structure isn't there to enforce the stronger picks, like meta-wise, and the players get to pick what they want. Like, you get the Gnar, like you said, you got the Karthus, you get the Jaces, where there are better options for those avenues of approach and for those compositions. It's just the comfort of the players individually favor those champions over the others.
And that's where I would make the argument that if the player's more comfortable on that champion, just play that champion. I like seeing this style, especially when it works in amateur. I mean, if this falls apart, you could be critical and say, well, that's part of the reason why. But if it works out, you can always go back to that comfort works. I'm surprised, though, with LBGN's draft over on the other side, I'm not seeing anything too crazy. I mean, Aphelios Bard bot side, that's pretty standard. They got the Orion in mid with volley top, and then the Kindred in the jungle. Pretty standard team composition. So just like that, I mean, my confidence, I hate to say it, starting to drop a little bit, but we have seen Meech do some insane things in the past, and Meech on Aphelios definitely could set this team up for success.
I actually kind of favor LBG's draft being more traditional, just because of the fact that you look into the series, it is a best of 3, and being in this position where you have all this cheesiness, the best 2 games to do that is either in the very first game, just to get it out of the way because you have more confidence in your team overall to win the series in entirety, or you beat it when you have a game up where you are already beating them 1-0, and then you're like, all right, let's play the cheesiness, something that we're more comfortable on, and if we can really style on them and roast this out to a 2-0, it just digs that dagger in a little bit more as you continue on later into the playoffs while they drop out.
I feel like I hear excuses at any point in a best of series as to why this is the good time to talk or to do the silly draft, because you can also say the same thing when you are down in the draft here. But taking a look, it's going to be the Karthus in the jungle. It makes a lot of sense. In terms of the AD focus of FrostFire's composition, I'm not hating it too much. These are all champions that can be very strong in the early game, and outside of the Volley Bear, you're really not going to have anybody stacking armor on the side of LBGN. So I think that they're going to be fine in that department, and they still have that scaling option of the Karthus for the late game. LBGN, though, like you said, favoring that a little more. They just have some more tools to make plays happen. I love the fact that they can slow down fights with Kindred ult and Bard ult, but they can also engage with that Bard with the Orianna and, of course, the Volley Bear. So it just feels like they have more balance in what they want to do at any given time in the game.
Oh, definitely. Like all of your tools can be used to either engage or disengage, maybe outside of the Volibear ultimate, just for the sense of escaping on your own and then seeing if you can get out alive if you do get caught out. And that's really the name of the game for FrostFire for a little bit of the early to mid stages, is seeing if you can find those picks. Quas is definitely going to be someone who will just be absolutely oppressive in that top side because of just how annoying Mininar has been through like just the slow climb and slow buffs and patches that it's gone through in this season. Because honestly, I'm really glad to see it being in this scene, because I've been playing it in solo queue and it just bullies almost every single matchup. If you don't get hard camped in that top side for the first few levels and you're just able to push in and just get to those zoning control situations where you can go in, you can walk into the river, do some roaming checks into the enemy's jungler, help out your jungler to get some tracking information in, Gnar just becomes this amazing split pusher that can also hop into team fights and really provide whatever utilities you need, whether it is that help for the engagement with Mega Gnar and for more frontline help, or you have that backline to really just chase down targets after you find a pick.
It is conditional engage, though. That's always the big thing about the Gnar pick in general. You got to play around that rage bar. Got to make sure you're ready to go in at that time. But if they could combo everything together, you know, Lobos finds that enchanted crystal arrow to try and catch somebody. Heike Savage has all this range damage. It's going to be hard for LBGN to deal with the range and engage options of FrostFire if it's at the right point, if it's at the right time. I'm still just looking at LBGN's composition thinking they got so many kite back tools. Like Aphelios, it does great when people are trying to run at him and get on top of him. And yeah, not everyone on FrostFire is trying to do that. But I mean, if Quas is the only frontliner and you're just a Gnar, yeah, when you're Mega, that's great. But as soon as you're not Mega, you're not as tanky of a champion anymore. So just not having that beefy frontline could be an issue for FrostFire. And Karthus, the biggest negative I always see about Kindred is the inability to protect yourself super early on. If they have something like an Olaf, something like a J4, they can try and get aggressive, especially if a solo laner is able to push and join them. But the Karthus can't really do anything, and this is one of the few matches where a Kindred can actually start to take advantage of the low mobility of the Karthus. So I think there's going to be a balance that FrostFire has to hit here when they're going into this game. And I mean, it's always entertaining anytime we look at the drafts for these two teams, because just that lack of a coaching structure, the crazy pocket picks that we see, and I like to see it from FrostFire. We'll see if LBGN warms up throughout the series as we are loaded onto Summoner's Rift and ready for game number 1. FrostFire on the blue side, LBGN on the red.
And
like
a lot of favors going in for the side of FrostFire, because remember, we've got 4 out of the 5 looking for a FrostFire victory series wise, and then we've only got the 1 for Cubby for Long Beach. So it's a lot of expectations to be met here, as we just hit a little quick pause, a little snippet to just take a quick break, make sure we have our ping checked. But yeah, it's like there's so much weight and expectations on them from the viewers, but with the whole bad boy vibe that Long Beach is going to is just giving off, it's sort of that underdog story of saying, all right, well, they could just be the greasers in just absolutely slap anyone who comes in and just win the game, win the girl, game over, movie ends kind of scene. But it's just so difficult for me to wrap my head around it because of the fact of the whole consistency vibe. Like, they have this history of just when they lose early, they lose for the rest of the game until there's a catch, until the enemy team makes a mistake, or if K-aiming is able to just pop off. And putting all of your chips into one corner, it just doesn't really give me that confidence in the rest of the team. Going into this series, sure, you got Aphelios, but there's just so much working against you on the outside that might actually affect you going into game 1.
And just touching on that consistency too, they were one of the top teams in their group, the first team, I believe, to qualify for playoffs in Cup, and then they dropped down to that 3rd seed. But here we go, already early poke coming in from Uganda Royalty on the Bard. I love this pick. I also love the mental game, you know? He's like, I'm going to get in Lobos' head. I know that Lobos lost the 1v1 Bard mirror match to Kangas earlier, So I'm going to try and tilt him just a little bit early. It's beautiful poking here from the mid lane. Hikey Savage taking advantage of that early game Jace.
Yeah, yikes. That was a bunch of damage, and he's going to
he's going
keep
for more.
trying to go in.
Level
He might
2.
get first blood.
Freeze has to heal. Summoner spell down already. And sticking around in lane, getting greedy, looking for this level 2. Hikey Savage still has Flash. He might be able to get Summoner Flash out of Freeze also if Freeze gets a little greedy here, but he's just going to catch it under the turret. But still, early game going fantastic for FrostFire in that mid lane.
Yeah, good news at least is that you're not going against an aggressive jungler, so you can just sort of sit underneath your turret, try and chug as many potions as possible, and then just try and wiggle yourself back into the lane. Possibly call for a jungle gank to sort of relieve some pressure. Speaking of which, Mink's comes in and says hello.
Mink on the Kindred, looking for that early game play. Already some chunk from Freeze, so Hikey Savage is feeling the pressure right now. We look at Kitsuo, can provide some backup, but Hikey Savage, you got to worry about this. Yep, flash early. Mink still going forward. First blood picked up, and now they're looking for more. Kitsuo goes down. That's a double kill to Mink. Well played for LBGN.
Yeah, and well routed from the side of LBG, just sort of corralling Hikey Savage and Kitsuo into that situation. I think it was more of Kitsuo saying, we can possibly get the catch and get this first blood onto Mink before the rest of Philip comes down to help out. But unfortunately, that was not the case. The damage was already there, and Hikey Savage had given away first blood as well, with Kitsuo falling in that back end. So that really slows down a lot of the jungle pathing that is needed for Karthus to just ramp up as fast as possible. Luckily for him, he didn't give away blue buff, but, you know, Mink is around. He does spot him out. It's just a case of giving him that buff over, continuing his jungle pathing, and really ramping to 6 as fast as possible. We can see the runes there on the bottom side. Went Cosmic Insight for that additional cooldown reduction, and he doesn't have to worry about the boots either, especially with the buff that had happened to this patch.
Yeah, Mink not going to go too aggressive going for that blue buff. So Kitsuo gets a little break, is up a few camps right now, but the gold from those kills will feel so great for Mink. And he also got the 50-50 coin flip on the spawning Rift Herald, so already has that one stack on the Kindred. Looking for this next one as well. Freeze has a frozen lane here, but can push that out when needed and join in. And look at the bot lane as well, establishing their dominance. Yeah, I think Kitsuo is going to get double scuttled right here. And Mink is just setting himself up for success, rushing towards that level 6. Although we'll see if Hikey Savage just gives it over or not. Bot side, though, really big trade on Ugan and Royalty. The Bard has to use the magical journey to get to safety, but that's a big chunk onto that support.
Yeah, that was a lot of damage from that one, and seeing if we can keep checking out on that end. But looks like we have a little bit more hiccups here and there, but
just a few technical difficulties.
Yeah, you know
what?
what?
We're warming up into the playoffs. We got plenty of games ahead of us. We're ironing out all the wrinkles right now.
Exactly. And not to mention, it's one of the wildest games between two of the wildest teams. So, of course, the graphics are going to get a little bit more fidgety on that end. It also gives us some additional time to just sort of formulate how the rest of the game is going to be going. Because for me, you got to wait a little bit longer for those power spikes on the side of FrostFire. Not too bad to talk about or like sort of complain about for them losing those 2 kills. But in the end, there is that tempo favor for Long Beach in the short run.
Yeah, I think you're feeling pretty bad about how that early game went if you're FrostFire. Maybe they're not thinking, okay, GG go next at this point, but it's going to be hard to dig their way out of a Kindred getting 2 early kills and getting those stacks quickly. It's going to be so hard now for this Karthus to get out of his own jungle and try and do anything. I know that as a Karthus, you're just trying to power farm, get to that level 6 as quick as you can, and more play around the rest of your lanes. But when a Kindred is further ahead, it becomes harder to play around those lanes because now those solo laners, that bot lane, they're now feeling in danger at all times, thinking, okay, we can't always push in unless we know where Hunter is on that Kindred, or Mink rather, and tracking the jungle path in there. I also just want to give a quick little rewind to what happened in the mid lane, because it feels bad if you're FrostFire. It seemed like that mid lane was going so well. You had that big chunk onto Freeze in the mid lane, but then even though you're positioned on the top half of the map where your jungler was on the opposite side of where Mink was coming in from, you still get caught out. It seems like one of those situations where you feel like you're safe, you feel like you can be where you want to be in that lane and take advantage of that solo lane. And that is the mentality that they should have with these matchups. But LBGN playing around it so well, knowing their champions' limitations and what they can do on the map at any given time.
Yeah, I guess the one thing is it's very much a slap on the wrist saying, hey, remember to war, like, do respect the fact that the weakest lane here between all three of you guys is going to be that mid lane, because Jace doesn't have that great of an escape. Sure, you've got Quas with the hop, you have the Janet to just make sure that the bottom lane is able to get out fine if there's any true engagement, and Kindred is also a short-ranged it's sort of ganker in a sense, right? Like just with her vault, it's able to hop the terrain, sure, but like there's so many more avenues of approach into the mid lane alone that she can just sort of wiggle around and find that dark flank to make sure that she can get behind the Jace, where everyone else has an extra wall or two to make sure that doesn't happen.
But Mink showing up huge. Congratulations to the Minnesotan picking up the first 2 kills of the game, doing us proud for all the homeboys I know they're watching right now. I'm sure the Minnesotans are showing up in Twitch chat. Let them know that we exist as we're back into game. The technical issues have been resolved for now.
Oh, hello.
Crossing my fingers that they do not continue.
Yeah, but we also have a little bit of an update, as I do see 2 numbers of kills here for FrostFire. So something has sort of tilted the favor back over. Yeah, let's see how that happened. Hey, as a matter of fact, yeah, you got that lead from Mink, but Heike Savage just comes back with a vengeance and is able to get that kill with the shutdown as well. So we know where that one came from, but the kill for Kitsuo, I'm going to get a guess that it was through his ultimate, that they were able to knock someone down. They were able to knock down very low. Here we go. This is the confirmation of that replay. He was actually level 5 still. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, they're able to just get in. Here's that. So this is the nice disengagement that Quas can do with Nars, that he can just do that double hop off of minions. It creates so much space that you're able to win those matchups against Volibear. Sure, you get the jump, but you also have Vayne Silver Bolts on Nar, which is pretty OP. So on that end, they're able to get that second kill. So now everything is back and even. There is a Mountain Dragon in favor of Long Beach, but at the end of the day, it's nothing too bad for FrostFire, who actually does have a slight gold advantage.
Yeah, they can easily play around these dragons going forward here. That's because Katsuo was on the top half of the map, but with his Jace, now the lethality complete on the bot half, but here's the engage onto Lobos. The Ashe could be in some trouble, but look at the Karthus damage. Ugandan Royalty does not get the Bard ult off in time, but Deem could be in some trouble. Pops the barrier. Timing Yigi can't quite get the damage. Oh, Meech. Feels bad, man. Even with the jungler nearby, Dean has just too much survivability with the heal, with the flash, and the shields in the kit.
Oh, that lean, mean Dean machine. That was absolutely disgusting to watch that Jan ultimate. Here you go once again. They're able to get the vision control, jump onto Lobos, but just the poor mistiming of Ugandan Royalty, just a little bit too late. Gets the kill over for Lobos, and then Dean here with the ultimate. This is just, I hate this so much, because you know you have Revitalize on Dean, so that's just additional healing on the Monsoon, so that's just a massive amount that Gaming just can't get through at that time. But 4-3, and now they actually have some tempo on the top side still. Long Beach, though, they're still trying to make sure that they can shut down this bottom end.
They're doing whatever they can. Mink is in the area, looking for the engage. They know that Dean has no summoner spells, has no ultimate available. Should be an easy pickup here. Mink does get the kill as TP comes in from Quas. He's already in mega form, though, so we can't go for the combo here. And that's just a free kill over to the side of LBGN. Well played by Mink, sticking around on the bottom half. Did have to use the flash for it, but they get more gold in their pockets.
Yeah, it also allows them to continue to have this pressure for this dragon, which will be up in a minute. You also had Kitsuo now coming back for that recall. Speaking of that, Quas just going up to that top end. So we're still waiting on that, but he leaves Lobos alone.
Lobos! Very close right there. I feel like Meech was wishing he had flash at that time. Lobos has to flash away and almost falls down, but might stick around here. We see Kitsuo in the neighborhood. Lobos has ultimate. He's just going to try and throw that out and set up Kitsuo to carry this fight here. There we go. It lands. The teleport coming in as well. They're just trying to get onto him, and it's that easy. Heike Savage doesn't even get an assist. It's all Kitsuo.
And you had that setup already primed and ready for FrostFire. You saw everyone going back and recalling early. You did have Lobos who did get caught out, but he was there with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow to secure the kill, and now the pressure is swayed back into FrostFire's favor. We do have Mink coming down to see if he can win that tempo back in preparation for this dragon, but also turret plates going down, and with Shelly up here and available, at least you're able to deny a couple pieces of gold over to FrostFire with that Tempered Fate.
That feels good. That's 2 turret plates that they would have gotten money for, split through pretty much the whole team. The only issue is that now you will not have that Bard ultimate for this coming dragon. If they want to go for this fight right away, It's a little less defensive tools that they have available. And yep, they're starting it up immediately. Vision is on it for FrostFire, so they'll know that this is happening, but no teleport on Quas. And High-Key Savage had just back to reset, so I don't think that they can go for the steal. Yep, it is just secured here by LBGN.
Yeah, I don't know why High-Key Savage wanted to go and recall and just sort of forfeit the pressure with the Dragon congestion. Like, sure, you're able to recall. I believe it's just for the fact that you're able to. Yeah, it's the upgrade of the Yomus. Like, sure, that's great, but even then, the rest of the Long Beach doesn't really have any finished items outside of the Warriors enchantment for Mink. So you could still try and see if you can wiggle a pick here or there. But overall, I think it's just the fact that their composition wasn't properly set up. They need to be the ones that are actually on top of the objective instead of the other way around for them to really consider those objectives at the end game. But does see if he can catch it out.
Does go over.
Steal with the red buff. Nice one.
With the red buff steal. Beautiful play there. That Jace packs a punch. You know, that's why he backed. He knew he did the mental calculation. He's like, I need Yomus to have enough lethality and AD to actually get that red buff away. So it's all worth. It's all. You know what? Give the dragons over to LBGN. That is fine. Let them stack. As long as we get every red buff from here on out, we'll be all right. As FrostFire, it looks like they're setting up a play on the top side. They're waiting to see if Real Phillip is here, but Real Phillip actually backed. Might be a lane swap coming in here from LBGN as Mink is donated these resources, this top wave, to get more gold into the pocket of the Kindred.
And you got to be careful, though, because you do see our boy High-Key Savage sitting in the jungle, sitting in the darkness. See if they could possibly force Mink off, which they successfully do. They have to force the recall as well. He is pretty low on mana, so doesn't want to stay around too long, even with the ultimate available. Now just to come back and catch that wave, just push that one back out so he can continue that roaming pressure.
Yeah,
luckily
this play.
Long Beach is still at least trying to keep this bottom lane tempo because remember, their whole win condition is still on Aphelios, is on Kaming EA, because he is that massive carry for the team. And when you look at the rest of the squad, you have Mink with 3 kills under his belt. You could possibly carry through him, but right now he is just getting choked out by the roaming that High-Key Savage is just trying to apply.
And also the top lane, but wait a minute, it's all mid lane right now. All the action. Freeze uses that shockwave, trying to get High-Key Savage cut out. Doesn't actually find it, but now plays on the top half of the map from LBGN and plays on the bot half from FrostFire. Problem is, hard to get onto that bar, and flash used by Quas on the top half of the map, but they just stop the turret on the top half and Real Phillip. It's just that easy. Kill donated over to Mink. That's 4 now on the Kindred.
Yeah, not too bad. 4-1. That's like looking at that, it's not too bad because you have 3 kills on Kitsuo as well, so there's not really a huge differdifferential, even though you have just
on the bot side.
Gold lead. But
dodge coming in. Kitsuo is just walking straight under the turret. He wants Meech, and he gets him. Goes on a killing spree, and Uganda royalty will fall as well. A double kill. All the kills go into the junglers in this game. 5-1-1 to 4-1-0. Action across the map.
Oh my goodness. I wonder how much gold right now that Kitsuo is sitting on. Like, he has the 500 gold bounty, and with the Fiendish Codex in his pocket, you're most likely going to be going for that Zanya's Hourglass next. And you also have 10 stacks on your in your Dark Seal. You do have 1,500, so he's pretty close to upgrading. Yeah, he's pretty close to upgrading for that Zanya's. I believe he's just around 700 gold off. So once he's able to farm that up, which he has his side of the jungle to do so, he might be able to go ahead and recall, see if he can grab the stopwatch just for the next objective contestation, which will be in about 90 seconds. And then, well, I believe there's also Rift Herald as well, which is going to be up in 30. So if you want to go ahead, reset, go up onto this top side, try and pressure for the Rift Herald, which will still be a little difficult because you have some vision control there in favor of Long Beach, and then possibly look for the dragon later. That's really the game plan that FrostFire should be looking for right now. And then with that pressure from Rift Herald, push it onto the top side, create a distraction, go down to this Ocean Dragon, and really try and double down on this pressure because you do not want that soul going over to the side of Long Beach.
Looks like they got the time to do it as well. The Rift Herald spawned, but LBGN do not posture towards it right away. Instead, Mink went for the reset as well. But yeah, look at the blue vision right now. I'm happy that Joe's highlighting this. FrostFire, they can see every play that LBGN is trying to make right now. LBGN, they have a little less on the top half of the map, but enough to see if that Rift Herald will be taken. The big thing is the bottom half. They want this dragon. They really want to go for this Ocean Soul, if it is, or it might be Infernal. I might have said, no, Ocean.
It is Ocean.
It is Ocean Soul, and that's fantastic on the likes of a Kindred, Bard, and Volibear. These champions that can prolong a team fight for long periods of time means that you get to actually utilize all of that team healing. But good chunk on Ugandan royalty. This is what the poke does from the Ashe, the Jace, the Gnar. They just hit a few abilities, and suddenly LBGN need to back off.
Yeah, and with that Demolish, you get some additional peeling. Kaming did block that just to make sure Ugandan royalty just didn't get snapped out of existence. But with the slow start and sort of the hesitation for the Rift Herald's contention, like just the idea, they just had to hard force straight onto this Ocean Drake. Luckily for them, they do have that objective control in their favor, especially with the sieging that they had just applied in mid lane. Sure, you have a Volibear sort of knocking on top side, and with the Crystal Arrow going wide, you have some pressure sort of lost here for FrostFire. You have to go and answer Philip here on this top end, make sure he doesn't do too much damage into your structures, and then go ahead, reset, see if you can get some additional power spikes or just some items to help prepare for the next coming fight, because you only have a few more minutes, or at least 2 more minutes, until the Herald is gone. You still have time to consider it, but for FrostFire, I think they just say, you know what, take it slow. We have an immense Karthus on Kitsuo. Let's see if we can get him to the final item power spikes. He did actually decide to not fully invest in Zhonya's and did go for that Haunting Guise. So
wants the damage, man.
Wants
to pack
it's
that
great,
punch.
I feel like he could have gone for something instead, more of like that. Well,
he needs the
a
damage
kill,
for this play right here. No, okay, never mind. It's disengaged. Teleport comes in from the refill, but honestly, LBGN might just chase this one down. They have the Volibear ultimate. He can stop this turret, and it just, again, twice in a row now. They go for the turret dives with the Volibear, but they want more. Flash forward by the Bard, and the shutdown over to the support as well. Kitsuo pays the price there, and another turret will fall. Great heads-up play there from LBGN.
Yeah, great engagement there from Philip just to help close that one in. Didn't need all 4 members down there. 3 would have just done the job as well. But, never be safer than sorry in these situations. And now with, as a matter of fact, Lobos, I do see on the Herald, seeing if he can finish it up with the assistance that Dean is providing just with some zoning. And more the attention of Long Beach is on Quas right now. He'll be able to get out.
No longer Mega, though. I don't know.
Actually.
Ming could be in some trouble, actually. They turn it around. He uses the Lambert Spike, but there's that Enchanted Crystal Arrow, and Quas can provide the damage necessary. He didn't expect the Lobos and Dean to be in that Rift Herald pit, but that's the objective they are going for. So not only does FrostFire get the kill, they also get this neutral objective. Now Heike Savage, oh no, it's happening again, Coco! Again, Uganda royalty steals the kill from his deserving top laner.
Okay, Heike, you need to calm down right now, buddy. You're 20 CS behind. You're 3 kills down compared to that of your counterpart, which is CP Freeze, who has been doing very well for themselves in the sense of just staying calm and staying even. Every team needs a pillar, and right now the strongest pillar for FrostFire at this moment is actually Lobos and Dean, because of how well they've just been efficiently just been staying safe, trying to be participating and helping set up the plays for Kitsuo and Quas to really double down and amplify on. You look across right now with a lot of the players hitting that second item power spike. You have Runon's Hurricane pretty close to being finished for Lobos, but you have the Duskblade and the Black Cleaver Frozen Mallet for Quas. So this just means for them that they have a little bit longer to finish off, because they are later to their second power spikes comparatively to that of Long Beach. Looking at the gold, if they have more gold in their pockets, sure, they're 1,000 gold up. It's a question of who has that 1,000 gold, who's really going to be able to finish that in preparation for the next dragon or for the next structure that's going to be finished. You can look here, mostly just Kitsuo, who might be looking to finish that Leandri's Torment, but you have Kaming, who's sitting on 2,000 gold right now.
I want to talk about the top lane. Look at the CS differential. The real Philip had that play bot side as the blue buff is stolen away from Mink right there. Real Phil tried to do that roam bot side, but Lobos as the Ashe spotted him out. He's made multiple TP plays as yet again. I think that's he hit the one onto Mink up top side, but that's 3 missed ultimates now from Lobos. But yeah, look at Quasa and what he can do here in the 1v1. The Volibear is a team fight tool at this point in time. You're looking for these dive plays, but you are not looking to win the solo lane, as Qmeyer Quas has 2 items completed. And honestly, you were mentioning the item power spikes. I'm highly favoring FrostFire at this point in time. If I'm looking at what they have completed, Heike Savage is packing a punch. And you got a royalty. Okay, I guess he healed it all back up. But still, they have so much poke and so many tools to just force away LBGN from objectives without necessarily having to get these kills. And now they got the inside track on this dragon. And it's going to be interesting to see the approach here from LBGN. They actually do catch out Heike Savage yet again. Mink gets that kill. And now they're getting onto Lobos. The Ashe has to flash away, trying to disengage as Dean to help him out. And now comes around Kitsuo from the corner. He teleport in. Actually, it's not even a teleport. It's just Quas walking all the way there. But oh no. Now Quas caught out of position. Has the flash. Uses it over the wall. And just trying to buy time right now. It looks like LBGN, they'll just take the one pick. Oh no, you got a royalty. He might get caught out himself. Just barely gets out of that one, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Lamb's fight has to be used to keep him alive. But now the teleport coming in from FrostFire. The fight's gone too long. But what was that from Kitsuo? Just suicides into the fight. I know you can still provide some damage, but giving over all that gold, now the chase down. Lobos with Qmeyer, they do so much slowing just with their autos, and Real Phillip is feeling the pain. Heike Savage gets a little cute there, diving under the turret, takes 2 shots, but overall, FrostFire, I feel like they're walking away from that thinking that was a success. They get the inside track to the dragon.
Yeah, that was an insane extended fight there between the two teams, and honestly, it was FrostFire's players of Kitsuo and Dean providing not just the damage from the Karthus side, but the peeling as well to make sure that Lobos was always in a safe space, and then Kwasu was able to create the distractions. So this is where you can see Kitsuo in that blue buff corner. He drops down the wall of pain, which provides so much peeling and backspacing for the backline here. And of course, with the Tempered Fate from Lobos, it provides a little bit of extra time. Thank you, LB, for making sure that he can flash out safely. And there's the peeling from Dean as well, making sure that from against 4 members of Long Beach that they're able to stay alive. Quas up here, seeing if he can peel away. This is just that additional distractions just to make sure that, well, you might have enough timing for them to reset and possibly find a pick, which they're able to do. And you do have Jace still available. This ultimate, the Requiem as well, hard forces another key ultimate as well, and sure, the heal is able to keep them alive for just long enough, but Zombie Karthus is still there. Wall of Pain placed perfectly, but even with all of that pressure gained, they have to hard reset eventually. And they do see a Baron, which after we just shot through, I guess, did get
We're
denied.
still on the replay.
Oh, there it is. Nope, we're now
taken. Yep, they do claim it for themselves. LBGN successfully get that objective. Now they got to get the hell out of Dodge. Only lose 1 member. It is Meech, unfortunately the AD carry, but the other 4 can successfully disengage from that fight. I mean, that's a good sneak there from LBGN. We'll see exactly how they did it. It looks like they just started it up.
Yeah, it was a Hail Mary
from FrostFire reset.
Yeah, it was a Hail Mary play because after the Dragon reset, they just immediately went for this Baron. They're able to get it, sure. The Lamb's Respite was able to come in, but eventually they were able to just track him down, hunt him down, and get some additional kills and picks there. But you still have some members up and available with it. Like you can see, Minku, Gun Royalty, and Freeze all have Baron buff available. Sure, they're able to lose this turn, but they might be able to swing back with a pick.
Could be in some trouble, but again, the disengage from Dean is just too strong. This is what the Janna pick provides. We didn't talk about the Janna pick too much earlier, but it has been putting in work for Lobos right now. He's not really popping up in terms of the kills, but just hitting these enchanted crystal arrows, finding these picks, and positioning beautifully in these team fights to provide that DPS. It's rare that you see a Baron picked up and then a negative Baron power play, but this might be one of those instances because FrostFire, despite losing that objective, they claim the middle inhibitor turret, leaving that inhibitor exposed. Now it's Quas in a 1v2 situation, but he might be able to handle it. He's doing all right.
Yeah, he'll be fine. He'll be fine and dandy. He'll just go ahead and sort of chug up with the Spectral Cowl's additional health regeneration, and with the Merc Treads as well. He can just sort of really deal with any bullying that Freeze is going to try and apply on that Orianna. Now, with 4 members here in the mid lane, you think of where they want to apply next. Sure, you could break open the inhibitor there and make sure that Long Beach always has to attend to it, but I think it's just waiting out the Baron. Make sure you can have that power play just offline for the next fights. Like you have Dragon up in the next 2 minutes. It isn't soul point for either team, but it is soul point contention. It would be that soul point that you really want to just make sure you have a claim over, and makes it to where the other team has to pay attention in the next 6 minutes.
It's also
when
tempo.
that does arise. Yeah, it is
tempo. I mean, you think of LBGN, they got those first 2, but now the next 2 have been picked up by FrostFire. If they get that 3rd, that's the tempo. That's the mental game, thinking, okay, you know what? We got this lead. We can play around this. We can feel confident. Sometimes there's overconfidence, but I think it is a very useful tool to utilize here when you just are the team that's willing to pull that trigger. And honestly, when we talked about the positives, the strength of LBGN. A lot of it was around this bot lane. A lot of it was around Coming Yiga, otherwise known as Meech. This AD carry who would pop off, who would carry games. I feel like Cubby's probably, you know, kicking himself right now thinking, why did I draft this guy in my fantasy when he's going 1-4-1 on a Felios of all things? All the gold's been going over towards Mink instead. And now they're looking to make the pick on the mid lane, but Tempered Fate not quite going to land there from Ugandan Royalty. They might just try and force something else, but now they're going to give that one up. Interesting to see that the real Philip is actually holding his own now in the 1v1 in the side lane. There was a little bit of time there where Quas was owning that, but real Philip is feeling comfortable to fight back a little bit now.
I'd say mostly because it is the Meganar form. Volibear has a little bit better dueling potential than that of Meganar, but Mininar is there for the dueling. He's there to clown out, get the hyper procs, just like whittle you away with the max HP that it is able to proc with like the magic damage silver bolts that it has online. But we have 30 seconds until the next dragon. You have teleport on both Quas and on Philip, so they can stay in that top side if they so wish, but Philip needs to be there. Like you mentioned earlier, he is a team fight point, but you don't want to be caught like this.
You got a Royalty, popped like a balloon. FrostFire find their pick, and it's Lobos yet again that finds it for them. Roth is feeling great about his fantasy pick. I can promise you that. I know he's not getting all the points for the kills, but he's getting these assists. He's getting these picks for the team. And just because of that one ultimate, this should be their dragon. We see LBGN posturing to the top side, but there's nothing to trade. There's no Baron up here. There's really no enemy camps you can even take away.
Guess
Maybe
they
Mink
can
take
kill
this
Quas?
time. I guess that's the commitment here.
Yeah.
Mink has him caught out, so Quas will need to play this pretty much perfectly to get away from here, but a flash committed by Real Philip just to secure the kill. I don't even know if that's worth it. They just wanted to do it fast enough so that they can answer, but they lose a top turret to a wave, and they might lose this bot turret here as Freeze is the only member defending right now. Not looking good, Coco.
No, they have to surrender that, but it actually looks like, okay, FrostFire decides to just back off and call it a day. They don't think they have enough time. I think they thought that the rest of Long Beach was going to be there just a little bit quicker on the draw, so decided to call it a day and fall back. But unfortunately for them, they did actually have some spare time to take the turret and then quickly get out if they so chose, especially with like the acceleration gate that you would have from Jace, just to sort of give that additional movement speed to disengage. But now we're encroaching on that third item power spike for these teams. Sure, you have a all-in death ball composition that Long Beach is going to try and pressure into this mid lane for an additional turret, but you're so close to getting that Rabadon's death cap onto CP Freeze, which would be so immense for them in the long run, because once you get to that death ball and look at it, like you're just going to be able to obliterate all of FrostFire if they're just going to group up onto you. The problem is FrostFire never really wants to group up. They want High Key Savage on a flank, they want Kitsu on a flank, they want Quas literally behind you beating the crap out of you with Hyper or throwing in with a Gnar ultimate. And that is the issue with like the long-term draft. Like, yes, you're the more traditional draft. Honestly, like the fact that you are struggling so much just shows how consistent and how much of like tone that FrostFire is playing with you right now. Like they have your number, they have your like every single digit. Like they're pretty much like doxing you on Summoner's Rift right now.
They got one play, and it's go for the Baron rush. Oh, beautiful!
I don't know about this cap.
Not gonna be able to get in there, so Baron is secured. But now, how does LBGN get out of the pit? Maybe they turn back and fight. The only way out is back in, everybody. Look at the damage coming in from Meech, but now he's got out. He's stunned up. He's over the wall, but he's gonna go down. Only Freeze makes it out, and that's with the zone. His Hourglass might still get caught out here. Look at Dean. Flash available. Do we see the channel? 1v1 against Orianna. Freeze. Okay, you got the Baron Empowered Recall. I don't know if he's going to get it. Kitsuo flashes forward. Freeze is going to go down. Kitsuo should claim that one, but maybe not. Freeze still alive, still doing that kite back damage that Orianna is known for, but look what's happening elsewhere on the map. Everyone from FrostFire is on this inhibitor, and a flash from Dean. Oh, but the shield for Freeze! The tornado! And the final auto comes in. Dean picks that one up. He wants to participate, get some extra fantasy points if anyone picked up the support, but they didn't. Still wants to say, hey, I get more than Lobos this game around. LBGN mounting the final defense now against FrostFire. I don't know if FrostFire have enough gas to actually end the game, though, so they will back off.
Yeah, thankfully for Long Beach, their respawn timers had just started to come up. Sure, Freeze died, extended his death timer just a little bit more, which just, distracting two members is an absolute win for Freeze. Like, if those two members were there sieging down those turrets, this might have just been an end game. They would have just hard pushed for it, even with the respawn timers coming up. So you could say that he saved the game just a few more minutes until the official death timer comes in for their Nexus. But at this moment, they're going to see if they can push in, get at least some gold back into their pockets. We have expanded to just a 3,000 gold lead, but it feels so much more than that just because of how oppressive FrostFire has been with these pick comps with Ash and with
they got a
Kitsuo
death
closing out.
Coco, they're going to catch
Death
Kitsuo.
rush.
Completely caught out from the rest of his team. I don't even know if there was a reason to be there, as the Karthus unless you're trying to just get XP and gold from that bot wave. And there's no way in hell he was expecting a volley bear and a Kindred in that bush. So I guess you can't blame him too much. So, hey, I mean, LBGN, again, they just find ways, man. They got one big play in the late game, and that's try and find the Baron sneak. It's worked twice, kind of. I mean, they got the Baron both times. Second time, they kind of forgot the part of survive afterwards, but
True.
I can't count them out at any point. They still are willing to fight back. Real Phillip going all in onto Quas, gets the stun, and Mink's here for backup. Quas trying to cut away. He's got the slows with those auto attacks, but I don't think he's actually going to escape. The problem is, how much time can he buy? Oh, there's the arrow in onto Freeze. He was looking for the flank. Mikey Savage trying to get that range damage. Freeze, he's getting a lot of healing here from the Bard. If you look at Bard's build in particular with the Athenes and the Mikhails, so Freeze is still alive. He's going to heal up from the Honey Fruit and the shield. It's going to be enough to keep him safe. Yeah, it's really hard to actually catch members of this team with the Orianna, with the Bard. But now Haki Savage could be in some trouble here. Does Uganda Royalty find him? No, it's Uganda Royalty that could be in trouble. He heals himself back up. Kogo, I'm about to have a heart attack right now. Why do people keep just walking into brushes willy-nilly this game? It seems like no one has thought to put wards down. Haki, he just dies, I guess. Okay, cool. Now LBGN have a man advantage of 5v4. Freeze and Uganda Royalty.
He got the flank.
Bard ult still available. If he finds this, he gets it onto Kitsuo. It's just buying time right now, but the shockwave is tied perfectly. Kitsuo goes gold and tries to stay alive for as long as he can. As Real Phil buys time on the front line. He will go down, but he bought enough time for them to claim that dragon. It's 3-3 now. Both teams on Dragon Soul, and Mink, he might go for Quas. I don't think you want to be in this pit right now. And it does disengage here. Lobos, despite not having all the kills, is very scary, has a lot of gold. Now Mink, he wants it though. He's going in, and that was not the correct decision, my friend. And the 1v3 situation does fall down. LBGN, they get the dragon, but their base is in shatters. They got no turrets. They got no hope right now, Coco. Maybe they can mount the defense. But no, another arrow coming in from Lobos. Now Quas there for the damage, the slows. There's nothing Meech can do. He goes golden to try and buy some time, but he can't even take down Lobos. This is going to be the end of the game. LBGN, they tried to bring it back from the clutches of defeat, but FrostFire say no, and they bounce back.
Oh, man. You know, when that game started out, you can sort of see the different mindsets that both of these teams ran. We were talking about it at the beginning of the draft, saying, okay, well, FrostFire, they're doing a little bit more player-focused drafting with the picks that they had, with the Gnar, with the Jace, saying this is more comfortable for us. And I explained earlier on that, well, you know, it's all about that ego check, right? Of saying the first game, if we can pick out something that's a little bit more unique for us and we win on it, it's a little bit more hard roasting for the opposing side. And LBGN losing out against that one, they've got to be feeling the burn on that, especially when they drafted a more traditional composition, which in the end game does have a stronger execution and stronger statistical favor. But because of the consistency of how well every single player on FrostFire was able to dish out, they were able to pull that one out for the win. And Kaming Yinye was never really able to actually do anything on the Aphelios because, you know, Kitsuo would just shut him down with Requiem every single time.
I'm going to need somebody to check Lobos, make sure he's not scripting this game, because those crystal arrows had a magnet on them the moment that I started criticizing that he missed a couple. Every single one after that was hitting Uganda Royalty, was hitting Meech over and over again. Uganda Royalty, time after time, when you're playing the Bard, and this is just something I know a lot of because I am a Bard player, you want to be that engaged. You want to be far forward so you can hit somebody with that Cosmic Binding, find that ultimate to catch somebody out. But you're also, especially with that build, a very squishy champion. And Lobos was hitting those clutch arrows time after time, which allowed them the opportunity to get more gold income into their pockets. And then they used that beautifully around these objectives. I mean, the first two dragons went over to LBGN. They got the first blood, 2 early kills onto the Kindred, and they couldn't utilize that lead to actually close out the game. A lot of it had to do with the top lane matchup. Yes, Quas did a fantastic job in that 1v1, but I just want to give props to Lobos. There's a reason, everybody, that he beat me in the 1v1. This guy's pretty good at League of Legends.
Yeah, so I'm going to be excited to see how they're going to be playing out in game 2, especially for LBGN's draft, to see if they just say, you know what, screw it.
Something
that
different.
Last game, we were just sort of grasping at straws for the last like 15 minutes. So we'll see what they can bring out in game 2.
I love Bard. I love seeing Bard. But I'm not convinced with Ugandan Royalties Bard play in particular. Everything else, it was okay. Mink had a great Kindred, but we'll see if they're able to pull it off in this next game. We're going to send it over to a short break and be back with more League of Legends action soon, so don't go anywhere.